phytoestrogens mean plant what? Plant estrogens. Now, in that cesspool that we all live in, what we have is many, 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 many chemicals that mimic estrogen. And when you ask me where most cancers come from, certainly cancers like pancreatic cancer and breast cancer and prostate cancer, it's these estrogens. They come from pesticides and fungicides and herbicides and plastics, but also soybeans. Now, soybeans literally are going to give you a very small amount compared to polyester bras, which give a lot to you because they go right on your skin. Your poor skin's trying to breathe and perspiring, and all of that estrogen goes into you. But if you have a propensity to those things, or if you've had lumps or cancers, God forbid you don't even take a phytoestrogen. Now there are forms of phytoestrogen that are prescribed by really good bioidentical doctors that may be actually used in the reduction or elimination of cancer. But that's not even something you'd come to me to ask, because I have little to no experience in that. We have a doctor that does that at Hippocrates, but you have them all over the Toronto area. So you can use them wisely, but not just go out to your local health store, eat tofu, and think it's good for everyone. Not a great idea. Anyone else in the back there at all? Okay. Anyone here in the middle at all have any questions? Okay. Anyone in the front? Yes.
Yeah, your critical thyroid complex. Does it pertain to T3 and T4? What is the difference between T3?
Okay. When you are legitimately looking at thyroid, and this is a good question, because when we doctors sit around and none of you are here, especially the women, we say if women live long enough, they're all going to end up with thyroid problems. Why? The cesspool again. But we'll also say the same about men. If men live long enough, they'll have prostate problems. It's both because of high estrogens. So this is on the back of the last question. Number two, with Dr. Marshall, I created a product called Pinnacle, which is the first direct nutritional support system for thyroids. Now, how a thyroid breaks down and allows the estrogen to weaken it, so you have high estrogen, or high thyroid function, or hypo, low thyroid, is that the gland itself is weak. It's like I can beat somebody up that's weak, but somebody's strong, the estrogen can't do that too. So that's what it does. It doesn't directly affect the T3, T4. What are the differences? Hormones. When we identify a T3, it's certain hormones, T4, and what we're really testing is antibody secretions. Is she secreting? Is she accepting? Is the thyroid mobilizing those things? And low numbers mean no, high numbers mean too much. That's basically what it is. And most doctors who are not trained recently don't look at that. They look at TSH, and they don't look at free T3 and free T4. And if you have any doctor that's telling you have a thyroid problem or not, who hasn't looked at the free T3 and free T, you can't interpret it. And so you've got to get an astute doctor that knows what she or he's doing on that. Okay, anyone else here in the middle? Yes?
Can you talk about Parkinson's disease?
Okay. Parkinson's disease is growing like hellfire because of the neuron effects that heavy metals have and chemicals have on. We have seen study after study that show that in most areas that are around major cities, Parkinson's disease is going up 2 to 4 times higher. A place like Detroit, 4 times, by the way, higher than it is in countrysides out in Alberta, Canada, or someplace. And why that is chemicals. They've linked it directly and named the pesticides that most often cause Parkinson's. We've gone that far. We can actually show you the pesticide that most of the time is found in what? Sprays we put on our lawns. Where isn't that pesticide in our culture? Everywhere. And it's in the aquifer. You may not even live in a community that has lawns, but you may be getting Toronto lawn chemicals, out in the countryside 200 miles away because of the aquifer. So these are the problems that we have. Now, you have to have a weak neuron system to begin with or a disposition towards Parkinsonian disease for these things to propel it. Other people walk around, they don't have that propensity, and they have as many chemicals and even more chemicals, and they won't have Parkinson's symptoms. But we see people reverse it and stop it all of the time in early stages. When you have that very much progressed, you're not going to reverse the disease in any significant way. You're going to stop the disease, but I'm not even sure that's humane at that stage. The 4 diseases you can get really taken care of early on to moderate are Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, and Alzheimer's disease. Progressive, when they're progressive, you're not going to do much. You just can't do much of that. Why? Because it's destroyed the organ, it's destroyed the nervous system, destroyed the brain. And that's where, that's the sad part for me, that people didn't understand or know what to do in the early stages. If you see with autism, there's a group out of Maine that actually got the science on this. I mean, Anna Marie and I sat and locked ourselves one weekend into our house and watched this film with this brilliant terminology we never heard before. They developed a whole new biological understanding, anatomical understanding of how autism occurs. And it's definitely chemicals that hurt the chromosomes. And they show the chromosomes, and they use detoxification agents. Some of it's chemical, by the way, that I would condone in these cases. And a lot of it's natural. But they found ways that you can reverse many cases, we're not sure of the exact percentage, of autism. Pardon? Oh yeah, we've had hundreds of people with autism. If people do what they're supposed to do, yes. But again, we would also, if it was an advanced case, get you in touch with Dr. Gary Gordon and people out of Maine. Because, of course, you'd have to do what we're saying. And then on top of that, if you're really advanced and the poor child's talking to the wall half the day, you'd want a secondary layer that you're going and detoxifying, even with chemicals sometimes, to take it out. Okay, keep going. Anyone on this side? Yes?
I'm taking medication for seizures. Any way I can get off of that?
Well, epileptic?
From a brain injury that I had.
Okay, probably not. There's some times where I'm happy that there are certain medicines on the market, and brain injuries, like what I just said, thank God you're articulate, intelligent, and sitting there and functioning and walked in here tonight, etc. So congratulations. But brain injuries are an anatomical, structural thing. So for me to say that you're going to change it now, we could improve it and maybe reduce the need for the medicine by electromagnetic current therapy to the brain, not shock therapy. Things like Viofer, although you need that, your friends told us. Shock therapy. Come on, I know it's late. But it's likely we could reduce the need for it. But to come off it, no, that would be a stretch. Is that possible? One thing I've learned is never to believe no. I've seen things that I can't believe happen. As soon as I'm really committed to the idea it can't happen, somebody shows up and it happens sometimes. But it's highly unlikely to do that. But you should be happy you have the medicine, you have a functional life, etc. Women still think you're sexy, I understand. Wait till you get the shock therapy. Anyone else over here on this side? Yes?
H1N1.
I just found out yesterday at our wonderful 250 to 300 guest Thanksgiving event. It's my favorite day of the year we have at Hippocrates. It's a day that we give back for everything we've had over the last 53 years. Somebody I trust very much, highly educated guy, told me, you remember the vice president? I said, I try not to. His name is Dick Cheney. You ever seen a picture of Dick Cheney? He looks like a bomb ready to explode, and he talks like that. His teeth are like a dog growling at you. I said, well, back when he was vice president, he started a small company, a pharmaceutical company, that, by the way, produces H1N1 vaccine. And the profits to date is $1 billion. I said, isn't that interesting? You mean the same Dick Cheney that started the Iraq war for Halliburton? They said, yeah, the same Dick Cheney. I said, isn't that interesting? So, mark my words. This is a great propaganda campaign. And I'll give you a little insight to it, what's happening globally.